Welcome to the Relentless Podcast, and today I am here with the man, pro boxer, pro Muy Thai fighter, IBO Pacific Champion, Ben Mahoney. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Mate, what an effort to get here. Jeez, we actually nearly died in floods trying to get to this episode, so congratulations on making it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to still have my car not in a flood water.
Absolutely. Dude, I'm excited to get you on the show. The whole show's about being relentless, and I think who you are and what you do really sums that up. And I'm excited to get into your psychology and learn more about you, and of course share your story with all my followers and the people that listen to this show. So again, thank you for joining me, bro.
No, I appreciate having me on. I'd love to speak about the journey and express to all the guys coming up as well. It's important for them to see what other people go through to get there as well. So,
absolutely, yeah. I'm sure you got many lessons, my man, that you can share. But let's go back to the start. Let's find out who you are and how you got to where you are. Where did you grow up? And we'll talk a bit about that journey from childhood. Where are you from?
So Gold Coast, raised, born, been here my whole life. Absolutely love the Gold Coast. So I haven't really travelled too much with training and stuff. Grew up in Robina kind of area. Trained at a Boonchu gym from the age of about 14 years old. So started pretty young. And haven't really differed from there. So I did Muay Thai for about 11 years. So I had 40 professional Thai boxing fights. Over the years. And I've crossed over to boxing in the last maybe 2 years, and probably a year and a half full time. I was still kind of juggling them a little bit backwards and forwards, and so full time about a year. Had the 10 pro boxing fights, and
and you're absolutely on fire.
So far so good.
So where did the love of Muay Thai and fighting and boxing start for you? How did it all start?
So I used to do Taekwondo with my old man years ago when I was a kid. He ran his own little dojo, you'd call it, just in Robina, just at the local park, and we just did a little bit of boxing, a bit of Taekwondo. Just always kept me active. I used to play rugby league when I was a kid. I used to love rugby. I wanted to be a footy player. Couldn't have changed more from then. But we got to the point where I just wanted to stay fit for an off season, and then my brother trained at Boonchu Gym. He's like, "Oh, do you want to come and just stay fit while the Chrissy holidays are on? So when you start back, you're not struggling." I trained for about probably 4 months, and then Wayne Parr asked me, he goes, "Well, do you want to compete? Do you want to have a fight?" And I was like, why not? Let's go. Let's send it. Let's have a go.
Yeah, great.
Ended up just being a complete mosh, like, your first fight. And everything goes out the window. You can train as hard as you want. It doesn't matter.
Just the adrenaline.
And then the dump after, I was dry reaching in the corner. So it was crazy. But I kind of became a little bit obsessed with, obviously, I'd look back at the fight, and when I suck, that was a terrible performance. I want to get better. I want to get better in the gym. I was training with the guys. I was Thor Hoopman, Flip Street, Daniel Jones. There's a lot of guys in that gym that were just like elite level Muay Thai fighters. And I grew up with them, and I wanted to do what they did, and I just kind of formed that passion for it. And about a year later, I just kind of threw footy in the bin and stayed in the gym.
Wow. What do you think it is about fighting that you're so attracted to? Because I mean, it's not for everyone, that's for damn sure, and it takes a certain mentality and a certain energy and a certain sort of physical capacity to be able to do it, but not only do it fucking well at a pro level and keep stepping up time after time. Why are you so passionate and attracted to it? What does it do for you?
Mate, I think growing up I didn't have a lot of money. Obviously I had a split family from a young age. Got myself into a lot of financial debt. Just a lot of little shitty bad habits that I had. Fighting was always kind of my getaway. Every day you'd go in, you'd have a place to go, whether it's relieve your issues, hit the bag when you're shitty or angry or you got some shit going on. And it gave me that hub just to always progress, always get that 1% better every day. And I kind of became a little bit obsessed with that, and I wanted to create a better life for myself. And I've had so many horrible jobs over the years, and I've never felt passionate about anything other than fighting. So I just could never hold a job. I was always scattered. Like, if you looked at my resume, I'd be horrible. I'd never get a job. But so as far as fighting, I put all my eggs in that one basket, and I want to fight for my future. I don't want to do the standard 9 to 5. I don't want to work for someone else. I want to fight for what I believe in and fight for my future. I want my family, my friends, my kids eventually to have the best life they can have and not have to fight. So I want to do all the groundwork now and fight for my own future.
So you got a big why, man. You got to, and it's so cool to hear that you've got this large vision. You're not only thinking about yourself here and now and a few weeks in advance. You're future-pacing generations based on your actions today.
For sure.
Which is such a motivator.
Oh, mate, that prompts the crossover. You know, I had those so many fights in Thai boxing. I had 40 professional fights, and man, I won't say the pay packet. I know it's not all about the money, but when you're looking at doing something you love, the end goal is to do it for money. That's the goal of life. So we all have to work. We all have to do that grind. So why not make it your living? So when I looked at the purses from them, I had four boxing fights, and I was earning more than I was after 40 Thai fights. So
wow.
And then you're looking at sponsors and all that kind of stuff, and just the whole, I suppose, the network of it. Nothing against the sport.
It's a bigger monster, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nothing against the sport, but it's just like table tennis versus tennis. It's just a different. A whole another ball game.
Absolutely. And so your Muy Thai, what is it? 32 wins, 8 losses, 10 KOs. Is that?
32 wins. Disconnected. Oh, my bad. I think my phone automatically locked. It's back on.
We'll just get you added again.
So, yeah, I think we're jumping back in now. So,
and we are back in the arena.
Yeah, I think my phone self locks.
That's right. All good.
So I'll keep my eye on it.
Yeah, so 32 wins, 8 losses, 10 KOs. Yeah, in Muy Thai.
Yep.
How long were you fighting at pro level in Muy Thai?
I think I debuted on my 7th or 6th fight.
Yes.
As a pro, I think I was about 16 years old.
Wow.
Something like that.
And you were pro at 16?
Yeah.
Fuck,
So
wow.
super early. So yeah,
huge achievement, man.
Yeah, even Wayne was like, well, we may as well throw you in. Like the Muy, the Muy Thai circuit was so tight knit, and there was so many fights to be made. And I was ready. I've always had the mentality of throw me in now. I'm not getting younger.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I back myself
to
the moon and back. So when we debuted young, I just had to keep winning, and it kind of got to a point where, you know, you get to a certain level in Muay Thai and everyone's kind of pretty similar, and there's some high level fights in Australia to be made, and you end up just fighting every bloody second month, or every month really.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
And so were you fighting guys older than you at that stage? What sort of level is this at?
When I was a kid, when I was 16, I only showed my partner Emily a couple of days ago the fight. I got bashed, so I don't show too many people too often, but I think my first full Thai fight, so throwing elbows and knees to head, all that kind of stuff, because it's modified and all that, but my first full Thai fight was against a guy called Brody Stadler. If he's listening, shout out to him. He bashed me. He was like, I think he was like mid-20s. He had like 40 or 30-something pro fights.
Yeah.
And it was my 7th fight.
Yep.
And I was only like 15 years old or 16 years old. And I went the distance. I got through it, but he
good on you,
absolutely bashed me.
Yeah.
And that was a good lesson for me. And then moving forward, I had a couple of wins. And then the fight that I got really beat up when I really... It was like, I need to pick this up again.
Yeah.
Fought a guy called Jake Marks in Sydney. It was my week after my 16th birthday.
Yeah.
And my back was cooked, so I couldn't throw kicks. So I thought, we'll go over, we'll fight him. And I got my ribs broken in the first round, 3 ribs broken in the first round.
Wow.
Got dropped with the body shots, got dropped with an elbow. Got dropped with a knee to the head in the last round.
Wow.
But got all the way through it. I think I ended up breaking his nose in the last round with a jumping knee. So like I got through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's all the Thai fights are crazy. Could go back for days.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really crazy to think, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners are thinking this as well. You know, you're 16 years old, you're a kid, right? You're a child, basically. You're in there fighting grown men, and at full blood sport. How do you mentally and emotionally prepare yourself for that at 16 years of age? How does that work?
I didn't really have anything else in my mind. You know, I feel like that's all I had. That's all I wanted to do. And then I was just thinking about my future. It was get in the ring and fight that guy, or go work a 10-hour day on a site. So for me, it was like, it's a no-brainer. I'm just going to fight this guy, beat this guy, go to the next guy. It's kind of all I've really thought about. For me, there's no other option, you know. And I was saying to someone the other day that for me, there's no other option. When you look at people in the stare down, some guys try to clown around and talk. Like my last fight, my opponent tried to talk and smile and try and get a bit of a reaction out of me, and I stood there stone cold, because for me, it's very personal when you're sitting there. They stand in front of everything you ever want, ever worked for, believe in. That guy is the be-all and end-all. So for me, every time I have a fight, it's all I can focus on. That's all I think about.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the age or the experience. They've all got a button, and you can press it, and then it's over. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of sort of trying to pick them apart mentally before the match, or are you just so in your own world, own zone, focusing on your internal game that's all nothing?
Yeah, I just focus on myself, mate. Like there will be a point, you know, when there's those big fights, the higher level fights, you have to market it. You know, you're a product, and you're your own brand, so you have to sell the tickets, and you have to get the bums in the seats. But for me, I just fight, you know, where I'm at. I'm 10-0 now. We're starting to scrape those bigger fights. I'm signed with Tasman Fighters, so we've got some big things coming in the works.
Absolutely.
I've always been written off. Coming over from Muy Thai to boxing, the first 5 fights I had were, he's a Thai fighter, he won't go anywhere, he won't do anything, he'll come in, he'll be a gimme, he's a journeyman. Now that I'm in 10-0, people are going, he's only winning because he's had so many Thai fights, and the whole thing flips. So
they're always going to say something, mate. The critics are always there.
I roll, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so for me, yeah, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. And so I guess I want to ask a little bit of a question around the mentality. Do you think sort of people are born with your fight mentality, or do you think it's something that's conditioned with training? Because I don't know, it seems like some people just have it, some people probably don't. Yeah. What's your opinion on that? Give and take, mate. Case by case scenario. I think some people are born with it, definitely. Some people are just callous souls, mate. They come out and they're savage from the get-go. Some people go through a really weak stage in their life. You hear the David Goggins story, all that kind of stuff, and then from who he was to who he become. So there's people that build it. For me, I feel like I just, I calloused myself from a young age, and just I did what I had to do. And then I made the decision. It wasn't sitting on the fence or doubting myself. It was, I want this. There's only one way this is going to happen. It's to do this. And I don't think about the process too much. I just do it because that's the only way to get there. So I think I just built a bit of grit. Fight by fight, case by case. I'm definitely, from where I am now, is a different mentality was 2 years ago. And then 2 years ago to 4 years ago, I feel like every year I'm starting to evolve a little bit, whether it's become a little bit smarter or become a little bit more wise or become a little bit more angry or, slowly, bit by bit. I think you definitely build it. You just have to work towards it, I think. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you seem like such a chill dude. We've met, multiple times. You're a really good guy, but I can tell when you're in that ring, and I've watched heaps of videos and clips of you, you turn into a fucking savage. You can just see it in your eyes. Even I love the video you put up today that was, what did you write on that one? It was like... a little dysfunctional. Yeah, a little dysfunctional. But it's like, you can see that shift in your eye once you get in the ring, and it's just game on. So you're 10-0 now. What was one of your most memorable fights thus far? Boxing and Thai boxing all together. Yeah. Oh, so many moments. Oh God. As far as that one I was telling you about before, when I got my ribs broken, that was my first introduction. That was the first time I've ever been dropped. I've been dropped a handful of times, so I've never been stopped, but you definitely be put on your ass over a few years. But I think that was a big wake-up call for me. I got my ribs broken in the first, and that was, I've got pain as temporary, pride as forever, tattooed on my ribs, even now. So from that fight, it was one of them things. I got up off the floor and I had a choice. We flew all the way to Sydney. I was a kid. I was against all the odds, and it was like, you can go down now. You've got your ribs broken. That's the fight over. You can get up, fight, and get the job done. So for me, that was a big influence fight for me to get up, get through all the rounds, to get dropped again, get up, get dropped again, get up, and to get through that was massive for me. There's been a few other fights, like even just little stuff. There's a guy called Nathan Robson. A big shout out to him as well. I had 3 fights with him in Thai boxing. He was like, I feel like we were like, we're mates now, but I feel like we were a bit like arch enemies. Back in the day. You got your rivalries. Absolutely. First fight we had, I did definitely underestimate him. He fractured my forearm, fractured my shin, and then I ended up in hospital with a facial surgery. He broke my cheek as well. So, and he won that on split points. The second fight, I think maybe unanimous. Second fight we had, same thing, absolute war. Fractured my forearm again. I won on, I think, split. I'm not too sure. It was close, very very close fight. Third fight we had, I smashed him. He always hates it because I post all the highlights. So I always got to be done. Got to recycle. Absolutely. But yeah, I ended up coming in, and for me that was such a mental battle. I fought in an eliminator, so I had to fight 3 times in one night to win the whole tournament. And it was called an 8-man eliminator. And I drew Nathan first, and we were both kind of the card draws to be the final together. And we were both sitting at the weigh-in looking at each other, and I know he feels the damn same. We looked at each other, and everyone's name were getting drawn out, and we were looking at each other going, don't you dare draw us first, don't do it. And then Nathan versus Ben, we looked at each other and we were like, fuck, like, all right, let's go. And then we had a barn burner. He stood there the whole time. We got through the 3 rounds, and he brought it to me the whole time. He was an absolute beast. And but I ended up dropping him twice, and that was just for me. Before that fight, that was the first time I've ever felt like I wanted to walk out of the venue. Like, before that fight, I was so nervous because I knew the prior 10 rounds we had. I was so banged up. I had surgery. I was so sore. And I was like, this is going to suck. This is going to be a really shit fight. So, but I just, moving past that, I had just turned that kind of, like you said, savage animal kind of brain and went, there's only one way to get through this. And that's to steamroll it. If I sit there and try and play the game, I'm going to end up in hospital again. And I ended up that night, I think once I got through that first fight,
that's all that I was focused on. I wasn't focused on the other guys. My main ulterior motive was beat him.
Yes.
Beat him, I've won the night.
Yeah.
And then I ended up fighting the second guy who had beat Nathan prior, stopped him, knocked him out in about 30 seconds with a big left hook, and then went on to the finals to fought George Mann, who was 6'4" southpaw.
Yeah.
Ended up beating him, and I won the tournament.
Wow.
So that was another big thing for me, just coming through all that mental barrier. Like, this is going to hurt, this is going to suck, I really don't want to do this, but just get over the ropes. Don't think about the fight, just get it done kind of thing. So that was a big one for me too.
So you would have had to have a shift in your... I guess the way you talk to yourself is so important. I mean, if you're sitting there before a fight going, I'm going to lose, or I'm fucked, you're not going to perform, are you?
100%.
And you are going to have those daunting moments.
Yeah.
Do you consciously shift the way you talk to yourself and redirect?
Yeah, you gotta catch yourself when you're thinking negative. I know that people talk about the law of attraction, all that kind of stuff, but it's a real thing, you know.
Absolutely.
And when you're thinking negative, more negative things happen. I think you see a car that you like and you start thinking about that car, you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just because you're noticing it, you're thinking about it. So I think, when you're sitting there and you're thinking negatively, or you're thinking like, I'm scared, or this is going to suck, or this is going to happen, it's most likely going to happen because you're just bringing more of that shit towards yourself. You got to catch yourself out when you're being negative, slap yourself on the forehead and change it to a positive thought. Start thinking about what you can do. Don't worry about what they're going to do. Worry about what you're going to do.
Yes.
A lot of fighters sit there and they try and counter off their opponent all the time, and they end up getting caught because they sit there stagnant. I don't know what was going on with it, but you look at Loma versus Lopez a couple of weeks ago. Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah.
Loma did nothing for the first 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And because I don't think he was trying to maybe wear him down or figure him out or wait for him to throw something to catch him, and he just got outpointed for the first half of the fight, and then he had to win the next 6 rounds to come back.
Yes.
So I think full steam ahead and just focus on your shit, be positive, and just go full steam.
Absolutely. So in that, was it an 8-man eliminator? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And so what's the space between each fight? Are you doing...
I think it depends on how the other fights go the night, but I think it's about maybe an hour or something like that. Or maybe, probably 45 minutes.
So how many fights did you have?
So I had 3 in one night.
3 in one night.
Yeah,
wow,
so I think they go like 2 guys draw, 1 wins, 1 goes on, then 2 fight, 1 goes on, then they have like a breakup fight.
Yeah.
And all the first 4, and then they have a couple fights, and then 2 fight, then 2 fight, then they have another 2 fights in the semi-main, and then the 2 fight for the final.
Wow, it's intense, bro.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's massive.
That was Paulie's show, Evolution. Sorry. Oh my God, he's going to hate me for that. Eruption. One of the best show. We'll still claim that's the best Thai boxing show, Eruption Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Paulie's awesome. He always looked after me. So
no, I love that. Big
you,
shout
mate.
out.
Legend.
Yeah. And so talk about that first time you said you got bashed, right?
Yeah.
What was the biggest lesson? Because, it's great to talk about the good times, and you've had a lot of them. I mean, you're killing it, man. You're on the rise in a big way. But, how did you handle something, not only that sort of mentally beats you down, but physically you're basically broken? How do you sort of handle that? And what are the biggest lessons from that?
Mate, moving forward, every fight, even now, even if I win, like that last fight I had against Ben Hussein, absolute beast as well, super tough. I broke his jaw in the first round, and it went 7 rounds before it got stopped. And instead of sticking to a certain game plan which would prevent me getting, hit a lot, I decided to just pursue the jaw. His jaw's buggered. Let's just try and get this fight done. And I just went for it. And me doing that, I kind of diverted from my game plan. I got hit a lot. I got hit way more than I usually would. Ended up with a swollen head, black eyes, all that kind of stuff. So I always look at the negatives from my fights. I never look at the positives because they're working anyway. So you get the negatives, you take them out, and then you go back to the drawing board and work on them to progress yourself. But I think going back to those last fights, it's the same process. When you get dropped or whatever, you don't see it as a negative thing. If you lose, you lose. That's the sport. Don't box if you're afraid to lose. If you want to protect your record, like a lot of boxers do, or if you want to go in and you want to have this magical buddy lifestyle that you think it is, it's not that. It's not that. Unless you've got the perfect team, the perfect promoters, the perfect fight matches, and you're in America, throw it out the window. I think that, you take the negatives out of your fights and you make them a positive. We go back to the drawing board. All right, well, we need to work on this. So let's correct that and move forward. So I don't really think... I've never really been down. There's only been 1 or 2 fights I've only been a little bit down after.
Yeah.
But that's because I undercooked myself, whether it's in training or I could have done this more. I think it's more of a personal attack on myself because I could have changed that outcome, not because I actually lost the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're super methodical about it. You sit there and it's all about just reviewing, reassessing,
Yeah.
and adapting, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful.
100%.
And so you talked a little bit about your last fight, which was huge, man. And basically you pretty much knocked this guy's jaw off. It was insane. And it got a lot of attention. I mean, you were on Joe Rogan, which is huge.
Yep.
I was so pumped when I saw that. I was like, oh my God, that's incredible,
that's
man. So again, we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but you just mentioned that I think you broke his jaw in what, second round?
No, I think I broke it in like the first 30 seconds of the
Wow,
fight.
wow.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, there's a little bit of chatter after the fight about he should not have continued because his jaw was swinging and all of that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And what are your thoughts on, him staying, I guess, the 7 rounds?
Oh, look, for me, there's been a lot of people going, like, so even Ben Hussein, the guy I thought he was like, why are you whinging about this now, kind of thing. It's not whinging. For me, it's about the fighter's health.
Yeah.
First and foremost, they're putting their whole life on the line to get in the ring and fight.
Yeah.
And there's a referee and a corner, so there's 2 people that should be protecting them. So I broke his jaw in the first round, and I didn't realize the severity of it until about round 3. But he couldn't keep his jaw open. Every time I hit it, I started seeing blood starting to piss out of it, and I was like, "There's something super wrong here." And then every time I'd hit him, his mouth guard would fly out of his mouth to the crowd, and I thought he can't keep his mouth guard in.
Couldn't hold it in.
Couldn't bite on it. So, and it got to a point where I kept hitting it, and then I could see he couldn't see his teeth because his whole jaw actually dropped.
Wow.
So I don't know whether it was the side.
You can sort of see that in the videos.
Yeah, it's gnarly. It's horrible. So when I saw that drop, it kind of got to a point where it's like he can't hold his mouth guard in. He can't put his mouth guard in the corner. He's telling them, and if you hear the actual the audio in the corner from on the telly, he's saying my mouth is numb. I can't feel my face.
Wow.
He's saying to his corner, and then they swallow his mouth out and spit it out and go, "Oh, just keep your mouth guard in.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut."
Yeah.
I think that's horrible personally because it's not Ben's job. He was a tough son of a bitch. The fact that he stood there and still banged me up after 6 or 7 rounds and didn't just sit down and go, "I'm done. This is fucking horrible."
Yeah.
He stayed there the whole time. So all credit to him, but he shouldn't have to prove his stuff. His corner should say, "Your jaw is in 2. This could permanently put nerve damage in your face, or this could ruin your career. This is your second pro fight. He's 74-9 as an amateur. He's a superstar. He's sparring all the big boys, and everyone said it's a hard fight.
Yeah.
And I actually lost 4 rankings to fight him because no one else would fight me at that time, and I was like, I've got everything to lose. I'm going to fight this guy. And he brought it to me 100%. And, it's not his job to protect himself. It's his corner. And the fact that the referee would put the mouth guard back in, carry on, or his corner puts the mouth guard back in, carry on, I think it's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. Okay. Round 5, round 6. Like, mate, it's an 8-round fight. Yeah. Why is it in round 7 that we're just noticing this? You can hear all the guys in the commentary on the telly are talking about it after round 2. I just thought personally that if Josh was in my corner and he'd agree to this, who my coach, and I went back to the corner after the first round and my jaw was in 2, he would have called it off on the spot. Before the end of the round. Yeah. The first time my mouth guard came out, he would have gone, "Why is this happening? Let's call it."
Absolutely.
He's got a future. He's young.
Longevity, right?
100%.
It's all about it. Yeah.
People got to look after themselves, man. We only get one brain, and when we retire, we want to use that shit after we retire.
Absolutely,
You see so many guys just retire with a pocket full of cash, and then when they get older, they just go downhill because they're not doing anything with their bloody heads.
Yeah, so true, so true.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought I got left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. That's all.
No, that's completely fair. And how has he started to recover? How's his jaw? Do you know much about what's happening in his world?
I'm pretty sure he's looking to fight early next year. Probably March, April. I think the jaws heal like any other bone. So as bad as it was, I think they'd just put it back together and it'd heal over the duration of whatever, whether it's 9, 10, 14, 15, 16 weeks. He's in good spirits. He's super keen for a comeback. Man, I can't see a lot of guys in Oz beating him. He's very good. And to the fact that he could fight with that injury and bring it to me, all credit to him. So I think he's on the right track. He's healing. As long as he has the right time that I think he should have, don't rush it. Just get in there. He's early in his career. He's an amazing boxer. If he had a couple more fights, I could have been in trouble. If he had a little bit more experience, if he didn't jump in the deep end a little bit too early. But I mean, he's got all the time in the world. He's young, he's talented. So hopefully he heals up soon and he gets back in there. Yeah,
absolutely. Credit to him. And so, as we mentioned, this was then broadcast on Joe Rogan globally, which is, huge. Well, did you know it was going to happen? Or was that...
No idea.
Yeah, wow.
I actually had somebody send me, you get, your requests and your messages, and sometimes it's just spam or
Yeah.
do you want a blue tick or whatever,
Yeah.
it is. And sometimes people just send you some weird. I've had some weird shit sent to me online, and some random guy sent me a photo, and I was like, it says like blurred out, says whatever, and I was like, I don't know if I want to open this.
Yeah.
And then underneath it said, you've been mentioned on Joe Rogan, and I was like, is this like a G up to
Yeah,
get me to open
exactly.
this photo? And I was like, oh, I'll open it up, and
Yeah.
it said they said that they was showing like the highlight on his screen, and they had a bit of a chat about it, and it was wicked. Cool,
it was
cool to hear the
awesome,
name
wasn't it?
out there, and I think once if you can have another couple of fights and you get another big injury or another big knockout, and then they see that, they go, who was this? The name comes up again.
Again and again,
They go, wasn't that guy that?
Yes.
So it was cool to get out there, be on that world level.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had 50 pro fights now, so I feel like, you know, I've got a lot of guys recognizing me that are high level. So it's kind of over my head. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bit surreal a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah, absolutely. But no, it was so cool to see, and they were thoroughly impressed. They were raving about it and going, "Oh my god, Ben Mahoney from the Gold Coast, Australia." Yeah, it was really cool to see. So I was really G'd up for you, man. That was great, man. If you could give any young fighters out there some advice on what it really takes mentally, emotionally, and physically to become a pro, I guess at the realm that you're in right now, what sort of advice would you like to give to those young fighters?
Man, honestly, as far as mindset, just make up your mind and do it. You know what I mean? So many people, like me growing up with, I was on so many sites. I did 3 years of a plumbing apprenticeship, never finished it.
Yeah.
Was so close. I had so many other people telling me, don't do this, get it back up. You know, if it doesn't work, what are you going to do? I had so many people that just threw it in your face every single day. I still do. And if I listened to any of those, I wouldn't be where I am at all. You know, I went through a period of about 12 years of constant struggle, whether it's money, financial. I was blacklisted by my bank. I couldn't pay my bills back. I had credit cards. I had loans. Everybody that knows me, that if they're watching this, will have a laugh. I've got the worst run with cars in the world. Like, I have broken down on that street just down the road about 4,000 times.
Wow.
In every car I've ever had. And, you know, even just in the last 6 months, Luke Camilleri has jumped on board as a sponsor from Mazda, so I'm driving around in the,
there we go.
The new Mazda BT50.
Less breakdowns.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
So no breakdowns.
Yeah.
So I'm really appreciative for that. So even just looking back a year ago or a year and a half ago to where I am now, I would, if you told me, I would have never believed it.
Yeah.
But for me growing up, you know, I had all these shitty problems. I was struggling. I had so many thoughts about should I quit and get a normal job, but I'm just so glad I stuck through it. So I think biggest thing for kids or people wanting to fight and come through, just make your mind up and, you know, take on board what people say, but don't let it affect you. Just water off a duck's back and just stay focused on what you want. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you want what you want. You can't please everyone regardless. Not everyone sees you, and whatever you think you are, not everyone's going to see you as that. Yeah. So just, stick to your guns and follow what you want to do. Fuck the opinions. Yeah, man, I love that. I think there's two epic parts to what you've just said. Number one, I mean, any sort of level of success, especially at a high level, you're going to have a lot of down moments and bumps in the road. And everyone thinks, you know, they'll look at your career, you know, overnight success. They have that sort of mentality. They don't see the hours of blood, in your case, literally blood, sweat and tears, and the pain and the failures and the self-doubt. And I think it's so true to, just like you just said, you've got to have that vision in front of you, that why, and you've got to believe in it so, you know, wholly that nothing gets in your way. And obviously the self-doubt is always going to come up, but you just have to keep charging through, which you've done. And you've proven that point that if you keep going, you can create your dreams, right? 100%. And it happens, you know, you see all these highlights. I used to be a massive YouTuber. Like when I was younger, not a YouTuber, but I used to watch a lot of it. And that was where I kind of grabbed my motivation from, whether before in the morning I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and I'd be like, type in boxing motivation. Good or Muy strategy, Thai. Man. It is. Man, it gives you that little bit of a kick and you're out of bed and you're done. You're on the road. And then once you do that first session, it's all, you know, from there. But, you know, you see all these videos about these guys talking about whether it's NBA players or NRL players or whether it's boxers or athletes. They're always talking about it'll just happen. Just love and stick to the process and it will happen. And then, you know, I'm not nowhere near where I want to be. I've still got a lot to go. I still have my struggles every day. I'm only 10-0. I'm still young in the sport. But from where I was to now, it's another world. You know, to be comfortable, to have sponsors, to have support, to have that whole network, to be here with yourself. It's surreal. Yeah. So, it happens. Like what you said before, for all the kids watching coming up, just stick to the process. One day you will wake up and you're going to be like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Where am I? How'd I get here?
Yeah.
And all that shit you went through doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
true.
when you're in the pits, it feels like shit. And you feel like it's never going to end. You're feeling like you're pushing shit uphill all the time. But then one day you wake up and you're like, I'm sweet.
The skies are cleared up.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I love that, man. And the other point I wanted to bring up, which you just mentioned, is the critics, because it's another mental emotional barrier that gets in all our way. Of course, that's partly to do with ourselves. We let it influence us, but there's going to be people out there that don't believe in you, that second guess you, that criticize you. How do you handle the critics, and what's your message to the critics out there?
Mate, you kill them with kindness.
That's right, absolutely.
There's a few of other things that come to my head, but I won't say it. Mum said, if you got nothing good to say, don't say it at all.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mum.
But thanks for that one. But yeah, look, honestly, I think with the critics, you're always going to get it. You can't please everyone. I think at the end of the day,
so true.
If you could win a world title and do a flawless performance, you could market yourself perfectly, you could give money to charity, it doesn't matter. There's going to be one dickhead out there that still goes and whinges about you. So critics are critics for a reason, and they're where they are on the other side of the computer, probably in their house, not happy with themselves. You know what I mean? That's essentially the realism of it. An example is there's a guy, this is a little bit of a story, but a few years ago I worked on site. I was doing scaffolding for the footy fields, and I was working with a few good boys. I actually met a few good boys there, but I was working with one fella, and he was like my supervisor, and he was the biggest asshole ever. Like he was just one of them guys that just rocked up on site. You don't know if he was off his head or if he was sober or whatever, and he was always in my face. Oh, make sure you get another job. Stick to this. Stick to scaffolding. You need money when you're older, right? And you could tell he was struggling with bills. He was unhappy with himself, and it's not nice to see, man. Like, and I'm not bagging him out at all, because he's got his own struggles and his own battles, and I feel for him. But when you're going through that shit, you can't put other people down. That's what makes you a dickhead. So for me, he was always on my case, always on my case. And obviously after I got off that side, I quit, and I kept fighting. And about probably 6 months after that, I fought at Suncorp Stadium on the Jeff Vaughan Mundine undercard. There was about 25,000 in the audience, so huge. For me, that was like doing that walk. It was surreal, you feel like you're watching yourself over. You see all your favourite fighters do that 100-meter walk, the big screens, the audience, and then you get into the ring. And so for me to do that, it was huge. And I was doing a bit of a media at with Channel 7 down at the park, just doing a bit of an interview, and then I could hear all this ruckus going behind me. And there was a guy, a tradie, just swearing, throwing shit around, having the worst day ever. And I was turned around, it was him. He was on the side, and he was just covered. It was like 7 a.m. He was covered in dirt. He was throwing shit, swearing, losing his mind. And if I didn't stick to my guns and quit when I did, I would have been on that site with him, probably getting abused by him. But I was on the other side of the road in a park with a camera in front of me, and about 4 weeks later, fighting in front of 25,000 people. So for me, that was another pinnacle moment.
Love that story.
So that's essentially, in a nutshell, they're the guys that are going to be like that to you. And they're going to stay where they are because that's the way they see life. They think that the world's against them. They think that everyone's it's for me, it's not even worth going into it with them. Just stick on your track and only talk words out your mouth that are positive.
So true. Be
positive people. Just all the conversations you have. If you feel someone talking negative or talking shit about someone or someone bringing that near you, just delete yourself from that whole situation, man. They're going to be who they are, regardless.
Exactly right. And I think that's such a core part to everyone's success. And it sounds like especially to yours. Even in the first few years in business for me, anyone that was sort of bringing down my vision or, not believing in me, I had to cut. I had to get them out of the way because I had to keep it clean. It sounds like you've done exactly the same. Talk to me a little bit about how important is surrounding yourself with epic fucking people, and having a crew and a team and people around you that back you, support you, that see your vision as clearly as you do, and you obviously have that. Yeah, it's massive.
It's massive, man. I've got a list of sponsors. I have to get my phone out to get them all in. But when you first start, it's such a slow process. But man, the amount of support I have, the amount of love, the amount of the network I have, and they all come from that same circle. You meet one person, and they introduce you to another, introduce you to another, and you form like all the boys at Combat Training Center. Like, man, those I can't tell you how appreciative I am to have those guys around me. Josh, my coach, I've got Craig from Rival. I've got so many people with all my sponsors, my family, my friends. And as you get bigger, more people want to be involved. And this is where you need to be particular, because some people are just jumping on for the ride. Some people are there for the right reasons, and you got to You got to kind of weed that out as you go.
Yes.
But man, yeah, it's huge. It's everything. Once you have that circle, that close-knit circle, it's that rise together. There's no he said, she said. It's no singularity. It's all together, all up kind of thing. It's massive. So important. Yeah,
I love that, man. And I think there's still going to be some battles in your career, no doubt,
massive.
And in everyone's career, because it's always peaks and troughs, bro. But as I said, having those sort of people around you, they're going to be key to keep elevating you and moving you forward and getting you through. And it's so good to see that you have that support network, and you've clearly, consciously or unconsciously, known that since you were like 16 years old.
You can't do this alone. No one can. Any aspect of life, you can't do it alone. You gotta, people think they can. People think that they're too tough for their own skin, but you got to have that.
So true. True. It's amazing, man. Tell me a little bit about how you prep yourself mentally and emotionally. Again, the mindset to me is fascinating because you are absolutely relentless. Is there sort of rituals that you do pre-fight or anything to get you fully zoned in, or how does it work for you, man?
For me, every fight is different. Obviously, you got your game plans, you got different opponents, you got different stakes, but the mission stays the same. So for me, I know from my last fight camp, my base. I've done this 50 times now, so whether it's the weight cut or whether it's the training or the sicknesses, I always have about 2 weeks out from a fight, I crash with sickness. Every fight, and a lot of fighters watching this could relate. You start to fatigue yourself, you start to cut your weight, you're overloading, and your body just goes, and then you're sick a week out from a fight. It happens all the time. So, I'm slowly learning to pull back a couple of weeks out when I'm starting to pull my calories down, starting to diet a little bit harder, make sure my nutrition's nice and tight. Stuff like that. As far as rituals goes, I don't have a lot. I have my my last camp. I know how hard I worked. I know how fit I was. I know how I performed. So if I get to that base in another step for the next fight, I'm happy. As far as rituals go, I just show up. I do the work. I show up. And I compete.
It's awesome, man. And do you practice goal setting or vision creation or anything? You often hear like Conor McGregor talking about how he works on his vision. He can see it all so clearly, which I'm all about, sort of creating vision. Do you work on stuff like that?
Look, I'm not pen on paper kind of thing. But like I said before, I know it's a cliche, a lot of people roll about it, but the whole law of attraction thing. I saw that movie. My mum showed me that, and she'll love me that I said that, but she showed me that when I was super young, when I was about 14, 15, and that shit legit changed my life. And again, back to the mindset, when you having a negative thought, change it to a positive, like all that kind of stuff, it made me so conscious of my thoughts and my actions and my mindset that it's now it's unconscious. It's the way I am. It's the way I'm programmed. So man, that's massive. That's everything to me. So as far as rituals, as far as goal setting, all that kind of stuff, in my head, as long as me and Josh, my trainer, we sit down once every month or so, and we write down who do we want to fight, what do we want to get this year, where do we want to go.
Love it.
So we definitely goal set. But then it's about how we're going to do it. There's one thing to write something down and go, oh yeah, sweet, cool. Very goal driven rather than day to day. So I go, all right, we've got 6 months, I want to get a regional title, and then content for whatever else. How do I get that? We're going to do this, and it's just that small micro breakdown kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But mindset wise, mate, it's all the same.
That's awesome. So for everyone listening out there, I think it's a great point that you actually do. You put in the time to future pace where you want to go, but you don't just sort of sit it there and hope it's going to happen. You break it down on a week by week basis, and you work the strategy and then work the process.
Man, 100%. And your mindset's like anything. It's like a progression. You're not going to be a qualified tradie in a week. You got that 4-year process to know your shit. You got to train your brain. You got to train your thoughts. You got to train the visionary thing. It's massive. All the high level athletes, they all envision it. They all have their goals thing. They all do that kind of stuff. So we just set a goal and we just break it down.
I love that.
You can't just jump over the water and get there.
Awesome. Man, we're going to talk a little bit about where your vision is shortly and where you want to go with it all. But boxing is such an interesting place at the moment. You've got a lot of things happening online right now. You've just had the Tyson exhibition. And you've got YouTubers jumping in and having these huge $1 million fights. And it was just yesterday I was watching the Jake Paul stories or whatever, and he's calling out Conor McGregor and all this stuff's going on. What's your thought on where the internet boxing realm is going, and I guess all the stuff that they're doing at the moment?
Such a big broad opinion on it. I think from a YouTuber fighting a fighter or NBA player or whatever, to be fair, the internet is the future. That is the way everything runs. We're talking through social media right now. Whether you want sponsors, whether you want platform, whether you want whatever it is, it's the way to go. And that's why a lot of athletes go wrong. They don't market themselves. We're a brand. We have to advertise. We have to do that. That's half the battle won. That's why sponsors and promoters want you on, because you've got clout.
Yes.
It's the truth. And again, I'm sometimes it's shameful. Sometimes you have to go overextensive, like I'll just go ham on it. But it's the future. So I get that the YouTubers are fighting these guys, and because they bring views in. If you're looking at pay-per-view buys, say if you get $2 per pay-per-view, and you fight a YouTuber who's got 2 million followers, and you even get a half of their following in. That's right. You're putting money in your pockets. It's huge, isn't it? I get it. I get it. And you're putting yourself out there. I do think the whole Jake Paul thing's a bit ridiculous. The way he's acting like a total turd. I was actually a bit shocked, dude. That one he put up the other day. I was taken aback a bit. I was saying to my mate, I was like, wow, I can't believe what he was saying about Conor McGregor. And his wife. Horrible, bro. Horrible. And, stuff like that, you'd want to go over to his house and just bash him with a bat. And it may happen. You never know. The way it's going. Yeah, with that kind of media behind it. But look, honestly, I think that I get the money, and I get the following, and I get, if you can even keep a tenth of his followers, the YouTubers' followers, as boxing fans, and that's why they have such good cards. You look at the undercards of all these clown fights, and there's 4 or 5 brilliant fights, world-class fights on the undercard. So if they tune in 3 fights before the main, because they don't want to miss it, they're seeing the best boxers in the world, and they go, fucking hell, boxing's awesome. Yeah, that's right. And then they keep boxing fans for life. Yeah. Then they make money for life. I totally get it, but I do think there's a point. Like, I think they're, Jake Paul fighting, the NBA guy, cool. I think Jake Paul fighting other guys, cool. And he's been boxing, he's been full-time, he has been training, you see videos and stuff. He's not the best boxer, he's pretty gross, to be honest, but, he fights. He comes in and he gives it a go, he knocks people out. So I think, if you give him a couple of legitimate boxers, but there's a point where he's just going for the McGregors and the money fight. He's an MMA fighter, for God's sake. Fight the top of your division. Was that Canelo? His division or something? Yeah. Scary. See what happens. Yeah, and then, but he's just putting that in the bin. He's just going for the money. He's saying, I'm a legitimate boxer. I'm a legitimate this. But then he goes and calls out guys from MMA and NBA. Yeah. Fight a legitimate boxer then. Yeah, if you're legit, fight a legit. Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to watch what happens over the next few fights for him and where he takes it. Look, it's crazy. I think I understand, but I think it's a bit of a it's crazy, But then you got the Roy Jones and the Tyson coming back and fighting. That, for me, a lot of people go, oh, they're old and they shouldn't be doing it. Yeah, totally. Again, I agree with that, but I never got to see Tyson. Yeah, absolutely. In my era, I was stoked to watch it. Yeah, it was so cool. See him walk out in his little black short shorts. And he still looked hungry. I reckon he's holding back a lot, obviously, but he's just got that in him, man. I really love that energy that he brings. Yeah, so that was awesome, and that brought about a lot of pay-per-views and stuff. Absolutely. And that wasn't, and Jake Paul's talking about, he brought the highest the pay-per-view buy, but that's obviously the Tyson, Roy Jones. Yeah. Bringing those in, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just an interesting time for boxing. I think especially Australian boxing, it was at this really high, and now all these YouTubers and all this and that's coming back. It's bringing a lot of mainstream media to it. So, as much as it sucks and it's weird, I think it's great because I'm in the right sport. 100%. And I was just going to touch on that. I really do think it's probably good for it is good for the sport. I mean, more and more people are looking at boxers and wanting to box. So it's really interesting to see what effect it's going to have on your career and a lot of other great boxers' careers. Yeah, it'd be massive. Yeah. I thought it was quite funny. The Floyd and what's his brother? Is it Logan? Logan Paul. Yeah, Logan Paul. And they're matching up the stats. And Floyd's 50 wins, 0 losses. He's 1 loss. Followers. You see it? 1 fight, 1 loss. It said the followers in the. Oh, that's right. Yeah, now they're competing on followers. When was that a thing? Exactly. When was that a thing? Yeah, very. That's right, legitimate stats there. Suck in that department if I fought. Oh my God. 100%. Very, very, very funny. Oh, mate, God. Speaking of funny, I want to play a game with you. This is called Rapid Fire, and I do this with all my relentless guests. And I'm going to say or ask you a few questions or say a word, and I just want you to respond whatever comes to mind. God, I'm a bit Maybe slow. The hardest challenge you've ever had, even harder than the boxing ring. I think so. All right, let's do it. Are you introvert or extrovert? Oh, God, extrovert. Excellent. Yeah. Are you more nurturing or hard-nosed? I'd say nurturing. Nice one. Optimist or pessimist? Optimist for sure. Awesome. Are you a soldier, a captain, or a visionary? Oh, God. Probably a captain.
Love it, love it. All right, say what.
These are hard ones.
They are. It's a challenge.
My eyes are going over.
All right, say what comes to mind. I am.
Who I am.
Excellent. I hate.
Nothing.
I love.
Oh God. Oh God. I don't know. I'd say passion.
Nice, nice. Sacrifice.
Benefit.
Pain.
Progression.
Problems.
Not an issue.
The future is.
What I do today.
Nice. I like that. We haven't had that one. My man, tell us a little bit about the vision for your future. What are you working towards? What's the big goal? Because you are knocking people out, knocking jaws off people's faces. You are 10 and 0 in this realm. Where are we going to see you in the next few years?
Look, I'm signed with Tasman Fighters, so we've got a good plan over the next few years. For me, I've never had that mindset where I want to progress, not progress, but I mean like give me up my record. I don't want that. I don't care about that perfect record. I want what I want for my future.
Yeah.
So as far as what we need to do is we need to fight the best in the country. We need to clear out the backyard. We need to win whatever regional title or Australian title we need to win.
Yeah.
Over the next few fights, we've got a couple of names in the works at the moment. I can't really say anything at the moment, but
of course.
The next 2-3 fights, we'll get those belts under us and we'll beat some big names. And then when the world opens back up, ideally, just get world ranked, get top 15 in whether it's a WBO, IBF. There's 4 sanctions, 5 sanctions. If I can get world ranked in any of those in the top 15, fight a couple of the top 15. With some international titles, get mandatory, win a world. Like the end goal is obviously to win a world title.
Love it.
The step-by-step process is just win. Just fight the next guy that's in front of me. Obviously, there's a lot of guys I'd like to fight, but rankings permit that. You know, you got the Tim Zoos, the Michael Zarafas, all these guys that are at the top. They're really, really great boxers.
Yeah.
They're the fights I want. They're the fights I'm chasing, but you know, they're in the top 15 in the world, or they've got, you know, a certain belt that I need to win before I fight them. So there's a curriculum I'll have to go through. So whatever is the next step, mate. Next year we'll be looking to win multiple regionals and an Australian title. In 2022 we're looking at some big things.
And I have no doubt you will, mate. It's really exciting to watch your journey, and I also love your social media presence as well. It's inspiring, it motivates people, and it puts a really good highlight on what you do. And we may even see you knock out Jake Paul one day, or Logan. Who knows, eh?
I'd fight both of them
at the same time.
Yeah,
that's something I'd pay for. That'd be good, mate. My final question for you today is, if you could go back in a time machine and give your younger self some advice. I usually say around 16, but you're a pro boxer killing people that were 25 at that age. Let's go back to maybe 12. What advice would you give yourself to help you progress further, faster, better?
Man, honestly, like, as far as this, probably a cliche answer, but I'd tell myself to just trust your gut.
Nice.
I don't think I'd change a thing. I don't think I'd say do this specifically or do this. I think I'd just say trust your gut. Follow your instinct, because I think everything that I've been through, I have fucked up so much in my career, in my personal life, in my financial, just everything. I've acted like a complete tool in the past. You learn a lot of lessons, and they all create who you are. So I feel like everything I've done has led me here. If I didn't have the Thai fights that I had, I wouldn't be the person I am or have the character I have. If I didn't fuck up in the past outside of my other life, I wouldn't have the life I have now. I'd just say trust your gut.
Yeah, I love that, man. Man, your story is super inspiring. Hats off to you, dude. You're doing an amazing job. We're all backing you. It's really exciting to watch. Good, Where can our listeners find more about you?
Just through socials. So Ben Mahoney Boxing is my Instagram. My Facebook's, I should be a little bit more present on that. But if you go to my Instagram, Benny Mahoney Boxing, or Benny Mahoney via Facebook, everything's there. I'm super, like you said, I'm super active on it. So again, if anybody sends messages through or shows some love, I'll always be responding and stuff like that. So
awesome.
So you'll find me,
mate. I love your work. Keep relentless, my friend. You are on the path for sure. And again, it was an honor having you on the show. Thanks for joining us, mate.
You're the man. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get on again soon.
Absolutely. Cheers, bro.
Thanks, brother. Bye.